So good morning everyone, my name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. In this live session, we will be discussing the Indian Express newspaper of the day. So let's start our discussion. We will be talking about these important articles today, that is One Nation, One Election Bill. So the process has been started when we talk about the simultaneous elections. So government has put forward a bill. Okay, so here you can say One Nation, One Poll bill introduced in Lok Sabha will go to House panel. Okay, now it has been introduced to Lok Sabha, now it will be going to the House panel, and then there will be, after that particular scrutiny, there will be debates and all. So that is what we'll be discussing today about One Nation and One Election. Okay, then moving further, Arctic Tundra sink to source. Now when we talk about the permafrost or the ice caps which are there in the tundra region, we generally think that these are basically your carbon sink, they are performing as a carbon storage. Okay, but recently there are various studies which are saying that from being a sink, they now converting into the source. Okay, so we will be seeing why and how it will impact the climate. Okay, then coming to the next one, Bitcoin strategic reserve. Recently USA President elect Donald Trump has various times mentioned that he will be going for making a strategic reserve for Bitcoins. Okay, now in generally we see that strategic reserves are there for various things, like be it petroleum, or if you talk about Canada has a strategic reserve for maple syrup as well. So considering all these things, you can have strategic reserve for various things, and now they are going for the Bitcoin. Okay, earlier USA has a strategic reserve for petroleum as well. Okay, so we'll be talking about this issue, we'll be seeing that why it is being talked about in USA recently. Okay, other than that, we'll be starting with the practice question and then we'll move to the fact of the day. We will have a geography through map session as well. Okay, so let's start with our discussion. Here if you look at the front page, you will be able to see that we'll be starting with the One Nation, One Poll, and then Doel Wong talks today. China says ready to work with India and enhance the mutual trust. Okay, so that is basically will be there in our discussion. We'll be giving a passing reference because this visit, Mr. Doel has just visited, so for the outcome we'll be waiting till tomorrow. Okay, other than that, there is nothing much to discuss on the front page, so we'll be talking about this in detail, that is One Nation, One Election. Now coming to the practice question which was given to you, Park Strait separates which two countries? India and Sri Lanka, India Maldives, India Bangladesh, India Myanmar. Okay, so you can tell me in the comment box here in the live chat as well that Park Strait is the body which is, you can say, separating which two countries. Okay, so that is basically option A is your right answer, that is India and Sri Lanka. We have talked about that on the map day before yesterday. Okay, now let's move further and see what we are going to discuss. Before that, I would like to tell you that we are starting this new batch over here in Noida sector 15 for GS Foundation. Okay, so IAS GS Foundation courses for English medium are started over here. Address is C171/2 Block A sector 15 in Noida. You can visit the center, or for more information you can call on this number, that is 9311406440. Other than that, at our centers like Prayagraj, Lucknow and Karol Bagh, we are offering UPSC GS Foundation course in different mediums. At Prayagraj, we are starting from 2nd of January 2025, Hindi medium 6 p.m, English medium 5:30 p.m. And Lucknow, it is 23rd December 2024, Hindi and English both, for both timing is 11:30 a.m. At Karol Bagh or New Delhi center, that is 23rd December 2024, we are starting in English medium at 8 a.m. Okay, so that is about the courses. You can directly visit the center or you can call on the number which is given. Okay, now moving further, if you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe it. We will be talking about the Ayush. Okay, so recently there is a term which is in news, that is Ayush visa. Ayush visa. So we will be seeing that what is Ayush and what is this Ayush visa. Okay, now Ayush visa is related to your medical tourism. Okay, so we are trying to promote these Ayush as a you can say stream of various treatments which are there. So Ministry of Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha and Homeopathy. This is the Ministry of Ayush. So these are various streams or various kind of treatments, or the, you can say, when we talk about the various types of the treatment which are available in India, there are various you can say therapeutics and other kind of practices which are there belonging to your ancient, medieval and modern India. So that are there, that is Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha and Homeopathy highlighted the Ayush visa, an initiative to promote medical value travel. Okay, medical value travel or medical tourism, that is basically a one thing. Okay, for foreigners seeking the treatment in India's traditional medicinal systems. Okay, now foreigners who are having some kind of ailments, they want to come to India for the treatment. First of all, one, we are providing affordable treatments. Okay, second, there are various practices which are there. Okay, so that can let's talk about Ayurveda. If we see, so Ayurveda is a kind of practice which is in the long term, if you see, that will be very beneficial. Okay, this will target the root of the disease. Okay, other than that, yoga is obviously, that this is important for your physical as well as the spiritual you can say development. Okay, then naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, these are all form of the, you can say, practices which are under Ayush. Please remember that there is Ayurveda, yoga, naturopathy, Unani, Siddha and homeopathy. Okay, now coming to the next one, Ayush Vija introduced in 2023 with 4 subcategories. You don't have to remember these 4 subcategories. Okay, just know that there are 4 subcategories and it was introduced in 2023. Purpose is to allow foreigners to receive treatment through Ayush systems like therapeutics care and wellness in the accredited hospitals or the wellness centers. Okay, this is basically Ayush Visa term is generally used for the with respect to the foreign when we are talking about the foreigners who are coming to India for the medical treatments. Okay, so that is one term which is used for the which is used in the field of the medical tourism. Okay, now India has been providing for the medical tourism for the nearby countries, like be it African countries, be it Arabian countries and the Maldives, etc. People are coming here for the treatment. Okay, so that is one thing. Other than that, also when we talk about the neighboring countries, India is also offering, you can say, trainings, etc. So this is a soft power which we are generating. Okay, now moving further and talking about the geography through map, as I told you, we'll be going through the Himalayas in detail. Okay, so today we'll be looking at this particular part over here. Now when we talk about Himalayas, Himalayas are divided into 3 parts, you know that. Okay, if you consider the trans Himalayas, that you can say 4, but in India we are saying that there are 3 parts. Okay, then we have, first we have the greater Himalayas. Okay, then we have lesser Himalayas, then we have Shivaliks. Okay, so when we talk about this particular area, this area is basically your trans Himalayas. Okay, these area you can say ranges like Karakoram are, you can say, part or on the border of the trans Himalayas. Then we have the greater Himalayas. Okay, now when we talk about the great Himalayas, these are basically your Pir Panjal, Jagsar range, and then moving further, you will be seeing that in the areas of Uttarakhand, etc. we have Nanda Devi and all. Then in the areas of Nepal, Mount Everest, etc. these are part of the great Himalayas. Okay, moving further, you will be seeing that we have lesser Himalayas, that is between the greater Himalayas and the Shivaliks. Okay, and the third range is basically your Shivalik. Now if we talk about the expanse of Himalayas, so Himalayas is starting from this area, that is Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, and then you will be coming to the Himachal, Uttarakhand, then UP. Okay, the areas of Nepal. Then coming to this particular area over here, these ranges are there in Bhutan. Okay, Bhutan and Sikkim. Then coming to this particular places, this is the northeastern region, and here you will be seeing that we have this curve over here. These are called as the Purvanchal hills. Okay, here you will be seeing that there are Naga hills, there are Patkai Bum, then again you can say Mizo hills, etc. are there. Okay, so that is there. When we talk about these hills over here, Garo, Khasi and Jaintia, these Garo, Khasi, Jaintia are not part of Himalayas. These are basically part of your peninsular plateau. Okay, so when we'll be talking about the peninsular plateau, we'll be talking about that. Now in this area, since you know that Himalayas are basically you can say ice capped. Okay, so that is why there are various perennial rivers which are flowing over here. Perennial rivers means that these are flowing throughout the year. So major system like Indus, Ganga, Yamuna, these systems are over here. Okay, when we talk about the northeastern region, here you will be seeing that we have Brahmaputra system as well. Okay, now most of the river are originating from somewhere around. When we talk about the Ganga and Yamuna, they are originating over here in India, and then when we talk about in this, okay, Satluj, these are originating outside. Brahmaputra is also originating outside. Okay, so these are certain things. We'll be talking about the river systems later. Right now, important thing is this. Now second thing is, which is the highest peak? So obviously Mount Everest is there, which is there in Nepal. Now when we talk about in India, here we have K2. Okay, so please remember that. Okay, and some of the important ranges are there. We cannot go through all the ranges, but you can do one thing, that after this you can go and make a list of the important peaks which are there. Okay, so we have K2, we have Nanga Parvat. Okay, other than that, if you talk about the various ranges like Karakoram, Janskar, Pir Panjal, and after that Dhauladhar we have, okay, and Mahabharat hills which are there in Nepal. Okay, so all these things you can actually put on map. Okay, so that is about geography through maps section for today. Next in the next one, we'll try to come up with another map. Now one more thing over here I would like to tell you, that there is this particular knot which is there, that is Pamir knot. Okay, Pamir. So please remember, these are your Hindu Kush. Okay, this is the reason from where you must have studied in the history that various attackers has come through this particular area, that is Hindu Kush. Okay, then we have this Kunlun Shan mountains. Okay, Kunlun mountains are there. The meeting point or the junction of these two is basically called as the Pamir Knot. Okay, if you come to this areas of Pakistan and all, we have Suleiman ranges which are there. Okay, so I guess this is enough for us to go through this particular map. Now there are various passes. Okay, we will be taking another map for the passes afterwards. Okay, now let's move further and start with the first thing, that is one nation, one election. We have discussed it various times now, but since that the bill has been tabled in the parliament, so we should know that what are the provisions which are there. Now the meaning of simultaneous election is that in a one go you are going for the elections throughout the country, be it your Lok Sabha election or be it the state assembly elections. Again, here when we are talking about one nation, one election, we are talking about the Lok Sabha and the state assembly elections. Okay, now when we are talking about the other elections like municipality and panchayati raj elections, so basically when we talk about the Mr. Ramnath Kovind committee, the high level committee which was there for the simultaneous election, they have recommended that first you can go for the Lok Sabha and the state assembly elections, and after or that within 100 days you can conduct the panchayati raj as well as the municipality elections. Okay, but right now, interestingly, this particular draft of the bill is not talking about the Panchayati Raj and the municipality. They are only talking about the Lok Sabha and the state assembly elections. Okay. Now, when you are saying that we will be going for the simultaneous elections, okay. So, first of all, whether we had the simultaneous election earlier or not, okay. So, yes, starting with 1951, we had simultaneous elections. Till 1967, we had, this one nation, one election or the simultaneous elections only. After that, you can say cycle got out of sync. That there was one reason behind that, that is because of the various assemblies got dissolved. Okay, Lok Sabha has also got dissolved prematurely. Other than that, there was various president's rules etc was there, issues of defection, defection. Okay, if issues of defections were there, because of all these things, these cycles got out of sync. Okay, now we are trying to combine it, and now the question is why we are trying to combine it, why cannot we go like this? Okay, the reason being that when you are saying that the state assembly and the Lok Sabha elections are out of sync, let's see, in 2024 we had Lok Sabha election. Okay, government was preparing for this particular election from like 1 year to 6 months to 1 year, and after that in 2025 there was these 1, 2, 3 you can say states in which these elections were there for the state assemblies. Okay, in 2026 there were another 2, 3 states where the elections were there. Now, because of this, what happens is that the government or the prominent leaders of the government, they are more focused on the election campaigning than on the governmental issues. Okay, and the developmental or the government related issues are not being taken very seriously because they are trying to make the government in the states. Okay, so because of this, okay, developmental issues were sidelined, or you can say the proper time was not there for the leaders to look into these particular issues. Okay, that is why they have decided that now we will be going for the one nation one election, that if there are elections in 2029, okay, that is of Lok Sabha, so at that point of time they will go for the state assembly elections. Now this is just an example. When we talk about this particular format, the earliest one nation one election you will be seeing in 2034, okay, if everything goes well. Okay, so that is about the thing why we are trying to go for the one nation one election. Other than that, logistical issues, logistical reasons are also there, finance related reasons are also there. When we talk about the corruption, if there are 5 elections in 5 years, that means that you are going for you are giving opportunity for the corruption 5 times. Okay, so if we are having one nation one election, so there will be chances that we will be reducing corruption as well. So all these factors are responsible for the one nation one election. Now let's see what is it. Government on Tuesday took first step towards implementing the simultaneous election by putting the bill in the Lok Sabha. Now this bill will go to the you can say House panel, and then they will go for the scrutiny. After that there will be discussions and the voting. Okay. Now after that it will be going to the Rajya Sabha. The special majority is required because when we are talking about this particular bill, you have to go through the way of Article 368 for the amendment of the Constitution. Okay, if you are going for the amendment of the Constitution, why amendment? Because there are terms of the Lok Sabha, there are terms of the state assemblies which are to be tweaked over here, okay, and that is why they will be going for the constitutional amendment as well. Now, if you are going for the constitutional amendment article 368, you will be requiring special majority, okay. We will be talking about the special majority or what kind of majority is required. You can tell me in the comment box that if you know, you can tell me that, okay. Now coming to this particular portion over here, that two bills has been introduced in Lok Sabha. Two bills, why? One is to, you can say, go for the state assembly and Lok Sabha. Second bill is related to the union territories. Union territories has altogether a different governance structure or the administrative structure, and we have to make, you know, changes in that as well, because when we are talking about the assemblies like Delhi, Puducherry, Jammu and Kashmir, they have state assemblies. So that is why their you know, cycle of election has also needed to be synced, okay. So that is why there are two bills. One is for the constitutional amendment and second is for the union territories. So that is about it. Now coming to the next one, that is what are the key takeaways from the two bills, okay. Now first we will be seeing that as of now only parliament and the state assembly elections will be taken care of and not the municipal corporation elections, okay. So they are focusing on the parliament and the assembly elections. Now coming to the next one, that president, how will you do that, okay. So let's see, next first Lok Sabha, okay, that will be gathering on 2029, in 2029, okay, because right now we are already having a Lok Sabha. Now after that the fresh election will happen in 2029 and first sitting of the Lok Sabha, okay, first sitting of Lok Sabha which will happen in 2029 after elections. Now president through an order will appoint a date, okay, so that will be the appointed date. That is the first sitting. Now from the appointed date there will be 5 years of term which Lok Sabha has to complete, okay, so that will be 5 years of term that will finish in 2034. Now whatever election will be happening now in 2024, these election will be the simultaneous election, or you can say one nation one poll, okay. So in 2034 will be going for the elections. Now what will happen to the state assemblies who are having the election in this particular point of time, because they are also having a term of 5 years. Let's say in 2030 there is this state assembly which is having elections, okay. Now they have to finish the 5 years terms, that will be 2035. Then how will you go for the simultaneous election? So they have said that from the appointed date all the state assemblies will be dissolved, or you can say if they are completing their tenure, well and good. If they are not, then they will be dissolved on this completing the 5 years or on the dissolution of the Lok Sabha, okay. So basically this particular state assembly will be there for the remaining period of time, that is of 4 years, okay. Now this way they will be syncing the, you can say, elections. Now again I will tell you, next fresh elections which will be happening in 2029, the first sitting of the you can say Lok Sabha, that will be appointed date, that will be appointed by the president, okay. Now from the appointed date there will be a time, that is 5 years. In the 5 years, if there is state assembly elections, or if you know, there is a particular assembly which is getting dissolved, okay, so they will be there for the remaining period of time till 2034, and in 2034 we will be going for the fresh elections. That is the idea which has been given over here, and this is what has been said in the you can say high level committee recommendation as well, okay. So let's see here, the president may be published may be by a public notice or notification issue on the date of the first sitting of the House of the People after general election. That date of the notification shall be called as the appointed date. The earliest date of the first sitting of the Lok Sabha will be in 2029. So earliest one nation one election will happen in 2034, okay. Now for that you will be requiring special majority in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, that is article 368 is talking about that. Now what is when we are talking about the this particular thing here, first half of both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha must vote in favor of the amendment, okay. So that is one thing. Second, all of the members present and voting, that should be 2/3 of the in the favor of the amendment. So basically they are talking about the special majority over here. So let's see what is the special majority. Special majority over here for the purpose of article 368 is basically there are two things which are required over here, that is half of the total membership, okay, half of the total membership, and we are talking about two houses separately, okay, and then 2/3 of those who are present and voting. So this is what you will be requiring. Now there are, if there were some federal features which are being tweaked, okay, for that you can go for the 50% of the ratification as well. That is the provision which is there. But as of now, if they are talking about the elections of the parliament and the state assemblies, powers with respect to the elections has been given to the parliament, okay. So that is why no you can say ratification by state is required over here. But if they have gone for the elections of the panchayat and the municipalities, in that case they would have required the 50% of the ratification from the state assemblies as well, okay. So that is what your special majority which is required over here, okay. Now coming to the next one, here you can see okay, so high level committee that was made under the chairmanship of the President Ramnath Kovind, they have recommended that on the one nation one election that was chaired by the President Ramnath Kovind, which we have already seen, the Constitution 100 and the 29th Amendment Bill, 129th Amendment, this is a bill as of now, okay. So that has been put forward. They will be going for certain you can say changes in the constitution. So they will be making changes in the Article 82, okay, and they will be introducing certain provisions under Article 82A 1 to 6 clause, okay. Article 82 will be tweaked, okay, and then Article 82A will be added, in which there will be sub clauses 1 to 6, okay. Now coming to the next one over here, here you can see, to facilitate the transition of the simultaneous election, Article 82, which is pertaining to the delimitation, okay. So Article 82 for the delimitation, that will be tweaked. After that, here you will be seeing that readjusting the allocation of the Lok Sabha seat among the states after every decadal census. When we are talking about the delimitation, last time it has happened very last time when it was happened, after that it was actually, it was happened in 1971, I guess, okay. After that it was you can say freezed till 2021 census, but since the census was not done, it was due in 2026. But the problem is that since we do not have this census, so let's say whether they will be moving it forward or not, okay. So that is another thing. But delimitation is the exercise through which you will be basically going for allocation of the seats, okay, in the constituencies, okay. So that is there. So that article will be tweaked, okay. Coming to the next one, according to the bill, Article 82A provides for the simultaneous elections to the Lok Sabha and the State Assembly. President can bring into force and propose changes on the date of the first sitting of the Lok Sabha, which we have already discussed. The term of all the State Assembly elected after the appointed date and before the expiry of the full term of the Lok Sabha shall come to an end on the expiry of the full term of the House of the people. As I told you that on the when the House which was elected in 2029, when it is expiring, okay, at that point of time all the state assemblies will also be getting dissolved, okay. So that is given over here. Now Article 82A subclause 3, that is saying that Election Commission of India shall conduct general elections to the House of the people and the all legislative assemblies simultaneously. So that is the provision which is given in the 82A clause 3, okay. Now simultaneous elections as general election held for the constituting the House of the people and all the legislative assemblies together, that is given in the Article 82A. You don't have to remember it right now. Once this becomes an act, then only this will be important. Just know that these provisions are there. Now other than that, one more provision is that if they have said that the election commission has to go for the simultaneous election, but if there is a particular state where election commission thinks that you cannot conduct the elections right now, so what they can do is they can go for the president's approval or the president's order and saying that we will not be able to conduct elections over here, then elections will be conducted afterwards. So this flexibility has been given to the Election Commission of India. Now let's say they have gone for the next elections was 2034 and they have said that in a particular state A you cannot go for the elections right now, so we will be going for the elections in 2035, okay. Now what will happen? Now this particular assembly will be there for the 5 years, okay, ultimately that is 2040, sorry, yes 2040, but the Lok Sabha is getting dissolved in 2039. So again you will be going out of sync. So here they have made a provision that this assembly will be there for the remaining period of time, that is of 4 years, okay. So now they will be making sure that all the elections are synced in the future as well. Now coming to the next one, what if the government falls before the completion of the 5 years terms? So be it Lok Sabha, be it State Assembly, if there is a government which is falling, let's say in 2034 we have gone for the election, and in 2035 the election or you can say the government has fallen, or the State Assembly has been dissolved. So the new one which will be created after fresh elections, okay, that will be there for the remaining period of the time. That will stay there for the remaining period of time. Let's say it is the 1 year they have completed over here, and now there will be rest 4 years, they will be here for the 4 years. Now there is no fixed tenure. The tenure is that with the Lok Sabha you will be going for the fresh elections. So that is the idea over here. Other than that, how it will be working? So when there is a fresh State Assembly or the Lok Sabha, that means that all the old business, all the bills which were there in the earlier Lok Sabha, that will be lapsing. Okay, right now also when the Lok Sabha is dissolved after 5 years or after completing the tenure, then all the existing bills which are pending in the Lok Sabha, that will be lapsing. So like that, if there is a term that is of 1 year, all the bills which were there in the old Lok Sabha, that will be lapsing. Okay, so that is about this thing, that what will happen after the, if the government is dissolving before the 5 years. Okay, and what about the State Assembly and the midterm post? Same thing will be happening, that if they are going for the dissolution, you have to be next the State Assembly will be there for the remaining period of time. Now what about the second bill introduced in the Parliament on Monday? Second bill is related to the Union Territory. As I told you, Union Territory has their own separate way of administration, because they are under the President, and the State Assemblies over there will have will also be changing their tenure over here because of the simultaneous election, and that is why they have introduced this particular bill. Okay, that will be ordinary bill. Okay, so this is about your one nation, one election in a go, or the bill which has been put forward in the Lok Sabha. Okay, now coming to this particular infographic which is given over here. So they have talked about that which article will be inserted. So article 82A 1 to 6 clause will be inserted. New provisions, we have already seen that they will be going for changes in the article 82. Okay, so new provision provide for the simultaneous elections to the Lok Sabha and the State Legislative Assembly proposed to be added after article 82, which pertains to the delimitation. Coming to the next one, all assemblies, if we talk about, so whatever assemblies which are elected after the appointed date, okay, so they will be there for the remaining period of time till the next Lok Sabha elections are there. Okay, so that is there. Coming to the next one, however, Election Commission has the you can say flexibility. If in the case they think that elections cannot be held in a particular state, they can obtain a presidential order in that regard. Okay, so this is about the one nation, one election. Now we will be moving to the next one, that is basically your Bitcoin issue. Okay, so let's see. So backed by the Trump, how a US Bitcoin strategic reserve might work. Okay, so they are presidential elect Donald Trump, he has said that they will be going for a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Strategic reserve means that there will be a reserve which will be there, and if the need be, if in the case of the emergency sector, they will be withdrawing from that particular thing. Okay, so right now in USA there is a petroleum reserve. Okay, there is a petroleum reserve. Now when we are talking about the petroleum reserve, what they have actually done is that they have made some of the quantity of the crude oil which will be stored over here. Okay, in the case when there is a supply shock or any kind of geopolitical situation is there, because of which the supply in USA of the crude oil is declining, so then they will be tapping it, they will be taking it out. Okay, so similarly they will be going for the Bitcoin as well. Now there are other countries like Canada, etc. They are having the, you can say, strategic reserve for the maple syrup, etc. China has it for the grains also. Okay, so that is there. Now let's see what is this particular issue and what are the strategic reserves. So Bitcoin hit a record high above 1,07,000 US dollars on Monday after the president-elect Donald Trump reiterated plans to create a US Bitcoin strategic reserve. Okay, what is a strategic reserve? A strategic reserve is a stock of critical resources which can be released at the time of crisis or the supply side disruptions. Okay, so it is a reserve in if you have any kind of crisis or if there is a supply side crisis, you can go for the releasing of the resources from that. Okay, US petroleum reserve is already existing, and that is world's largest supply of emergency crude oil. Okay, coming to the next one, it was created in 1975 with the act of the Congress after a 1973-74 Arab oil embargo that has the, you can say, somehow impacted the US's economy. Okay, Now after that particular embargo which was imposed by the Arab countries on the USA, because of which there was this issue, and ultimately there was this supply side constraint which was there, and they have decided that they will be going for the strategic reserve. Now when we are talking about this particular reserves, the job is to calm the oil market during war and when the hurricane hit the infrastructure along the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, supply side constraint can be because of the geopolitical scenarios or because of the natural disasters as well. Okay, so that is there. Now coming to the next one, strategic reserve need not to be restricted to the oil. Canada has it for the maple syrup, China has it for the metals, grains and the pork products. Okay, so that is there. Now how would a Bitcoin reserve would work? Now it is unclear that whether they will be going for the, you can say, executive order or for or you can say act of Congress for the creation of this particular thing. Okay, so that is unclear as of now. So that you can say Mr. Trump could create the reserve via an executive order directing the US Treasury Treasury Exchange Stabilization Fund, which can be used to purchase or sell the foreign currencies and to hold the Bitcoin. So there is this US Treasury Exchange Stabilization Fund, so they can actually use that. What they will do is that right now they either buy the Bitcoins, or there is this particular stock already there, that you can say there are some Bitcoins which has been seized from the criminal activities. Okay, so seized from the criminal actors by the government, and this particular pool is forming somewhere around 2 lakh tokens which are there, or you can say nearly 21 billion US dollars. So they can start with this particular amount or this particular strategic reserve. They will put this 21 billion US dollar worth of the Bitcoins in a strategic reserve. Okay, now other than that, what they can do is, other than that, they can directly use this particular fund, exchange stabilization fund, from which they can buy some Bitcoin, or they can go for the debt creation. They can take debt from some countries, and then ultimately they can buy Bitcoins. Or if they have the when we are talking about the gold, they can actually sell some of the gold from the forex reserve, and then they can buy the Bitcoins. Okay, so that is the Bitcoin reserve. This is how they will be creating it. Now how can a Bitcoin reserve help? Now we are saying that in USA, after this particular announcements also, and other than all that also, Bitcoin market is right now emerging. Okay, so they are saying that the countries like China, they are giving a tough competition over here. So to make sure that we are USA is not succumbing to that particular issue of China getting ahead of it, so they are creating this particular fund. So here you can say it would help USA dominate the global Bitcoin market in the face of growing competition from China. Okay, so that is, they are trying to dominate the Bitcoin market. That is one thing. By holding a stockpile of the Bitcoins, US could reduce the deficit without raising taxes and strengthening the dollar. Now Bitcoins are there in a, let's say there is your strategic fund. This is your Bitcoin 21 billion US dollar Bitcoin strategic reserve which is there. Now Bitcoin is something which is related to the mining. Okay, and the value of Bitcoin is actually like your stock market, and right now it is increasing. Okay, so now if you are having a fund and your value of the Bitcoin is increasing, that means that this fund is increasing. Okay, now this fund right now it is worth 21 billion US dollar, and after let's say 2 years it is 30 billion US dollar. Okay, now this 30 billion has been created without any kind of raising taxes or anything like that. It was just because the Bitcoin was performing well. Okay, now whatever this benefit of $9 billion has been happening over here, that can be used to you can say source the deficit which is there in the US's economy. Okay, or the trade. So US could reduce its deficit without raising tax and strengthening the US dollar. A strong dollar would in turn give more leverage over the foreign adversaries like China and Russia. If Bitcoin is increasing, that means that ultimately your worth is increasing, and if your worth is increasing, that is dollar is strengthening, and dollar is strengthening that, so other currencies like that of Russia and China, that will be actually less in demand. Now moving further, what are the risks? Now Bitcoin does not have an intrinsic value. Okay, when we talk about the gold has an intrinsic value. Yesterday, if you don't have anything, if you have gold, okay, so gold will always has the value of the metal. Okay, but when we are talking about bitcoins are the, you can say, digital currencies. Okay, and in various countries it is not even legal. So Bitcoin does not have an intrinsic value. So there are high chances that is that will might not work in the future. That is one thing. Second thing is, since it is a digital wallet etc are there, or the Bitcoin wallet are there, they are subjected to the cyber security related threats. Okay, cyber attacks etc can happen. Okay, so these are the some of the risks which are associated over here. Okay, so that is about your Bitcoin. Now moving further to the next one. Arctic tundra emitting more carbon than it absorbs, confirms the study. So here you can see Arctic tundra when we talk about. So obviously I don't have to tell you that where it is located in the map. Okay, it is a polar region in the northern hemisphere. Okay, now it is a frozen treeless biome and has stored carbon for thousands of the years. Now how they have stored the carbons? Okay, now when we talk about the plants and animals etc, you know that plants have the tendency that they will be storing the CO2 from the photosynthesis, and then ultimately when the plants are dying, there will be plants or animals which are dying, so there will be these bacteria which will be working on them, decomposing them, and ultimately there will be this you can say CO2 which is stored in the form of the plant corpus or the animal corpus, that will actually released into the environment. Okay, now the bacterial activity which is releasing the CO2 in the environment, that is basically dependent on the temperature. If temperature is too low, this bacteria will not be able to perform that particular function, or if they will be doing it, they will be doing it very slow. Okay, now when we are talking about these areas, these are the ice caps. So obviously these bacteria has been frozen over here, and because of which they are not able to go for, you can say, decomposing this particular fossils which are suppressed inside, or you can say which are subsumed inside the ice caps. So ultimately they were stored in those ice, and these bacteria were not working, and ultimately CO2 is not being released. Okay, now what is the problem now if that is the case? So what is why is that we are talking about this? So because of the global warming, we are seeing that the ice cap at the Arctic, they are declining, or you can say ice is melting. Now if ice is melting, that means that bacteria can get reactive. Okay, if bacteria are getting reactive, that means that they can go for the decomposition. If they are going for the decomposition, that means that the CO2 will be released in the atmosphere. So earlier they were the sink of the carbon, now they are becoming source of the carbon. Okay, and the kind of CO2 which is stored over here, that is a lot. Okay, so that can cause a trouble for us. Now if CO2 is entering inside the atmosphere, that is a greenhouse gas. Okay, it will further enhance the warming. So ultimately it is a positive feedback loop. Okay, so positive feedback means that if there is something which is increasing, and because of which there is one product which is getting created, and now this particular product is also enhancing the reaction, that means that it is a positive feedback loop. Now let's come to the article over here. Arctic tundra frozen treeless biome stored carbons for thousands of the years, now become a source of heat trapping greenhouse gases, which are primary driver of the global warming. Okay, there is this institution, US National Oceanic and the Atmospheric Administration, that is NOAA. Increased wildlife and the unusually high temperatures are the main reason behind the dramatic transformation of the ecosystem. Wildfires is leading to the emissions, greenhouse gas emissions, that means that warming is more, that means that you are losing the ice caps. Okay, now moving further, there is this Arctic report card, that is a yearly report on the polar regions which has been given by NOAA recently. Arctic tundra emitting more carbon than it stores will have good consequences, will have global consequences and not good consequences. So will have global consequences, exacerbating the climate change and the adverse impacts which we are already seeing. Okay, coming to the how does the tundra store the carbon, I have already told you that when we are talking about the plants and animals, we have these carbon cycles. Okay, and our body stores carbons, and ultimately when we die, so this bacterial action is happening upon our body, they are decomposing our body, ultimately CO2 will release back into the atmosphere. Now this is how we will be releasing the CO2. Now how these tundras are working, because of the less temperature, these bacterial activities are not happening, and because of which the carbon is still stored under the ice cap. Okay, so that is there. Now here you can see the stray tapped for the thousands of the years in the layers of the permafrost, that is talking about the bacteria. Any ground that stays frozen for at least 2 years straight, thwarting CO2 from getting released back into the atmosphere. Arctic soils stores more than 1.6 trillion metric tons of the CO2, that is double the amount present in the atmosphere. Okay, they are saying that this much amount is there, that is 1.6 trillion metric ton of the CO2 which is there, that is double the amount which is already there in the atmosphere. If the amount which is there in the atmosphere is causing this much trouble related to the climate change and the global warming, so see the double the amount will, what the double amount can do to us. Okay, now why is the Arctic tundra emitting more carbon than it is absorbing? So as I told you, because of the various you can say reasons like global warming and the climate change, now the ice is melting and these bacteria are coming forward. Now tundra ecosystem has now become a source of CO2 and the methane, that is CH4, a potent greenhouse gas emissions. Now two reasons are there. One is the temperature is rising, so that is there. We have seen that Arctic is warming at the 4 times the global rate. Okay, so that is there. Annual surface temperature in Arctic in 2024 were second warmest on the record in since 1990s. Okay, as a result, permafrost is thawing and microbes in the soil are becoming active and breaking the organic matter down, releasing carbon dioxide and methane. Okay, coming to the next one, compared to the permafrost to the chicken. Now here they have given an analogy where is you can see, if you are having this chicken or any kind of frozen food which is there, so if you have the frozen food that is there inside the freezer, then it will be safe, and if you keep it outside, okay, so within 1 day you will be seeing that that will start rotting. Okay, so similar case is there when bacteria are frozen, the organic matter is frozen, so you will not be seeing any decomposition, and once they are out, ultimately you will be seeing the decomposition of these things. Okay, another reason in the recent years is that Arctic has witnessed increased fire frequencies and the incentives of the wildfires. Okay, so that is another reason because of which you are seeing, because of the wildfire, again there will be greenhouse gas emissions. Now, so will the Arctic tundra continue to deteriorate? Now they are saying that, is there a possibility that we can turn it around? So yes, there is a possibility if you reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, but the problem is we cannot. Okay, the pace at which we are doing it, there are high chances that by the end of the century the temperature change or the increase in the temperature will be by 3 degrees Celsius. The target of the Paris climate change agreement was 1.5 degrees Celsius. Okay, but there are high chances that that will not be achieved. Okay, so that is about the Arctic tundra and the related issue. Now coming to the next one, iron and steel imports fall 28% in November amid MSME's concern over the, you can say, port blockades. Okay, here you can see this is a sharp decline in the iron and steel imports. Now this is this should be a good thing when we are talking about the decline in the imports, so that our forex are increasing, or you can say our deficit is decreasing. But the thing is, these are the raw materials for various MSMEs. Okay, now if India cannot produce that much amount for the MSMEs to have, that means that if you are not getting this from the imports, you are stalling the processes in the MSME. Okay, so let's see. When we are talking about the, it is a concern for the MSMEs due to the delay in the clearance process caused by the Steel Ministry's regulations. Okay, we will be seeing that what these regulations are there. Ultimately, they are not getting the raw material, they are not getting the imports, and ultimately, this is a cause of concern for the MSMEs. Now, let's see what is happening over here. So, import data, if we are talking about, so here the imports has fell from 2.4 billion to 1.7 billion year on year basis. Now, reason for the decline, delay in issuing no objection certificates. Now, when we are talking about the import and exports, there is this provision for the no objection certificates which are there. Now, because of this red tapeism or the delay in the issuing these NOCs, there is this problem that they have been, you can say, imports has been done and that they are stuck in the port. So, this is called as the port blockade. Okay, coming to the next one, introduction of the quality control order, that is QCO, and the tighter Bureau of Indian Standards, that is BIS norms. Now these are the, you can say, quality control measures, or you can say these are the non-tariff barriers, okay, which are there on the basis of the you can say quality. Okay, so because of which also there are some kind of you can say issues which are there. Now why is that? If there are particular kind of BIS norms which are to be followed, and if the country which is exporting this kind of iron and they have not followed it, ultimately you will not be letting these kind of iron enter into the economy. Okay, so that is the you can say non-tariff barrier which is there. Now impact on the MSMEs, if we see, so MSMEs struggle with the higher cost and the delays. Now why is the higher cost is there? First of all, because of the geopolitical scenario, costs are already high. Second thing is, if there is a delay in the time, that will also have a cost. Okay, so second thing is delays, and third thing is that because of the lack of supply in the domestic market. Okay, so in the domestic market also prices has increased. Okay, so that is some of the thing which MSMEs are struggling with. Now port blockades have caused significant challenges. I have told you what is port blockage. the item is you can say stuck at the ports. Now moving further, measures aim at protecting the domestic steel producers. Now these measures, okay, these introduction of the quality control orders and the BIS norms, etc. These are to protect the domestic industry. That is why government has gone for such regulations, but these are ultimately harming the MSMEs. Safeguard duty and the quality control have added to the burden on the industries dependent on the imported steel. If there is a you can say this steel is considering as the raw material in the industry. Okay, so that is about it. Now let's move further to the next one, that is Dual Wang talks today. China says ready to work with India, enhance trust. Okay, hold on. Okay, so कितने बजे रोज start होता है? So time is 10:30. You will be will be starting with 10:30, 10:35 because of some kind of these are machines which are we are operating or technology which we are operating. So there can be a delay of 5 to 6 minutes. Okay, so anyways, when we are talking about this Dowell Wong talks today, so our you can say NSA, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval has visited China, and they have said that Chinese counterparts have said that they are willing to cooperate with India and build the trust. Okay, now considering the situations which is there in China, economic situations, etc. So China is trying to create some points with India. So that is there. We have seen that there was this development on the LAC front as well. Patrolling has been started in the legacy issue points like the Mchok and the Despang plains, etc. So that is there. We will be waiting for these talks to end. That is when we will be getting the outcome of these talks. Okay. So right now we will be waiting for that. Now for your own read, before that, IIT Madras to set aside UG seats for the students who excels in the fine arts and the culture. Now IIT Madras has started this initiative wherein they will be setting aside some seats for the those people who are excelling in the fine arts and the culture. Earlier they have done for the sports as well. Okay, so there is a particular parameter which is there that will not be asked in the UPSC what is the parameter. Okay, but the thing is they will be creating a class wherein you can say there are certain categories which are there. Here you can see they have, in addition to this, candidates need to have received recognition in the at least one of the 9 categories. Now they have created 9 categories in which if the candidate has received some kind of acknowledgement that he has been excellent in the particular form of arts or the you can say fine arts or the culture, in that case there will be a score which will be built. Okay, now that score along with the rank which is there in the JEE exam, one thing is there, you have to give the JEE advanced examination and the minimum criteria for the 12th class that has to be met. Okay, after that there will be few seats. Okay, so that is there. So here you can say they have actually kept 2 seats. Okay, of the 2 supplementary seats for the fine arts and the culture, one would be reserved for the woman and other will be gender neutral. Okay, so that is there with respect to the new addition which has been done in the IIT Madras for related to the admissions. Now for your own read, there is this article, Eklavya's story beyond the thumb cutting, questions of the dharma it raises. Okay, so you must have heard about this story of Eklavya, and you can say he was a fine archer, and then Guru Dronacharya has asked for his thumb in the Guru Dakshina so that he might have some kind of disadvantage against Arjun. Okay, so that was the story of the Eklavya. You can go through this particular article if you are interested in that. Okay, so that is about today's discussion. Now we will be seeing a practice question for you. So question given over here is that the Park Strait separates, I guess this question has been repeated over here. Anyway, you will be telling me that which article of the Indian Constitution is talking about the delimitation. Okay, so that is the question for you today, that which article of the Indian Constitution is talking about the delimitation process. Okay, so option are need you don't need these options for this particular simple question. So you can attempt this question and answer to me in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. I'll see you in the next episode. Till then, have a good day. Thank you, and please subscribe to the channel.